And thank you all for having me this morning. I'm excited to give you a brief update on the work that we're doing in the income space. So there are three takeaways I'd like for you to have after leaving this very short presentation here. One, I want it to be very clear what our income goal is, just clarifying that. Two, I want it to be clear that it's not just grants that we do at United Way, that there's a variety of mechanisms and levers that we're pulling to ensure that we're going to hit that income goal. And finally, I want to clarify, or at least provide a high-level overview of some of the investments in our income portfolio. So starting with the goal, in 2010, you all know we did a baseline survey to try to understand education, income, and health needs in our community. And in that income assessment, we learned that by 2020, it was anticipated that we would see nearly 1 million individuals living in poverty in our four-county service area. So our goal at that point was to say, instead of having 1 million in poverty, let's try to cut that sharp increase in poverty and see closer to just over 700,000 living in poverty by 2020. 250,000 lower than what was projected. I share that because as much as this would be a great thing to do, we will not see an absolute decrease in poverty compared to what we're seeing in today's poverty numbers, just about 560,000 in poverty, give or take. But with the investments that I'm about to talk to you about, we do feel confident that we can lower that number from 1 million that was projected in 2010 down to somewhere closer to 700,000. The main lever that we pull here at United Way to achieve that income goal, and really all three of our education, income, and health goals, is the community impact grants process. This is the primary grants process where we invest in the top quality local nonprofits here in the North Texas area. There are 6 things I want you to think about when you're thinking about the community impact grants process. One, it's a very targeted process. On the income side, we only support 3 kinds of programs. One, we support job training programs. These are programs that are helping individuals acquire the skills they need to compete for career-level jobs in the 21st century. 2, we support employment programs that actually help individuals secure that job that can support their family. And 3, we support financial education programs. These are programs that help individuals acquire the knowledge they need to save, to budget, to manage their credit and build that credit, and to avoid taking on unnecessary debt. Very targeted on those 3 areas. 2, it's a completely open process to any nonprofit here in town. And because of that, 3, it's very competitive. Last year in the grants process, we saw over $11.5 million in requests from over 62 providers. As you can see in the slide behind me, we were only able to support the 38 strongest of those providers to the tune of just over $5.1 million. Fourth thing I want you to know about this income area on the grant side, it's a rapidly growing area for us. The income area was new in 2011, and in that year, we invested just over $3.6 million across 24 agencies. And combined, those agencies impacted about 28,000 individuals. This past year, we invested, as you can see, over $5 million, 38 agencies impacting almost 50,000 individuals. So we're moving closer towards reaching that 250,000 we need to achieve that goal by 2020. Fifth, it's volunteer-led. I think that's very important to understand that these aren't processes that happen behind closed doors. This is a very transparent process that involves over 225 community volunteers, several of which are in this room today, so I appreciate your service there. And I think it's important also when you go out in the community to know that these are decisions that are not only made, but also approved by your peers and by donors in this community. And finally, these are long-term investments. For the first time, we invested and made 3-year grants to all of our grantees. And this is really going to ensure that we're able to support the best programs long-term so that they can make those long-term touches. Remember, we're trying to lift 250,000 people out of poverty permanently, and that requires a long-term touch. So we're very proud to say that we're supporting these 38 programs, not just for next year, but for the next 3 years. And you can see some of the examples of the agencies that we support through these income grants. We also realize that we can't just utilize grants to impact United 2020. This is a community-level goal, and it really requires community-wide change and community-wide involvement. That was really why we started the Community Financial Stability Initiative last year. This is really an attempt to take a look at the big picture of poverty here in North Texas and do basically two things. One, invest in efforts that enhance impact or build capacity. So perhaps that's starting a new coalition like Bank on Dallas, or taking on a new coalition like Bank on Dallas. Perhaps that's investing specifically into underserved communities that our grantees are simply unable to reach at the moment. So it's another investment lever that we have to look at the big picture first and invest very specifically in specific populations, or it also helps us to bring our grantees together to help collaborate more. The research shows that a lot of individuals in poverty, they don't just need job training, they don't just need a job, or they don't just need financial education. A lot of times they need all three of those things. So we need to do a better job of helping our service providers work better together, and that's also something we're investing in through this initiative. We're also active on the public policy front. Again, United 2020, big goals. We need to move policy levers as well. You can see some of our priorities here: support living wage, high career path jobs. This is directly aligned with House Bill 1296 that was recently passed in the latest legislative session, which will increase collaboration between higher education and workforce investment boards. We're going to be very involved in the development of that as well. Another priority we have is to support responsible lending practices. We were successful 2 years ago in creating stricter regulations on the payday lending sector, which really hurts individuals in poverty here in North Texas. And so we've been doing as much as we can to create more regulation there, and as well as provide financial education for those living in poverty so they avoid those types of mechanisms, or at least understand that there are alternatives in the community, and so they don't take on unnecessary debt. Finally, I want to talk very briefly about the ground floor initiative. This is a final lever that we're able to pull to create impact. It's an impact accelerator fund that was actually started here by Dana Brown and is managed currently by Dana Brown. She's done a fantastic job, and it really allows us to do some very unique things that we can't do in some of our other processes. One, it allows us to invest in social enterprise startups. An example of that would be Cafe Momentum, which was one of our inaugural investments. This was really a fantastic idea by a celebrity chef in town to provide culinary arts training, internships, and employment opportunities to youth who were basically leaving juvenile detention, providing them with a completely new career path. And with the help of Ground Floor, not only will they receive funding to build out that business, but they will be able to become, ideally, a self-sustaining, profit-making enterprise that happens to cycle out, year in, year out, individuals who are moving out of that juvenile detention facility. Another thing that the Ground Floor is going to be able to do is import innovative best practice models that are working in Austin, that are working in Houston, Chicago, New York City, anywhere, and really combining the funding as well as the business acumen that we have here in Dallas to make sure that those best practices that are working elsewhere are imported properly and can scale properly here in Dallas, and really making sure they fit within the landscape that we're seeing here in the poverty alleviation work. So to conclude, it's clear we have a very bold goal. To lift 250,000 individuals out of poverty is going to take a lot of work and a lot of collaboration. But I hope it's also clear that United Way is committed to not only providing grants to the top nonprofits, but is really exploring innovative ways to really engage the community, to engage new donors, to find the best nonprofits. And I hope that our income portfolio is evidence of that.